The average new SUV in 2027 costs $52,000 and loses $26,000 in value before you've made your 36th payment. That's $722 a month in depreciation alone. Money you'll never see again. Money that vanishes the moment you drive off the lot. Meanwhile, a used Lexus GX with 80,000 miles costs $30,000 and is worth more today than it was 2 years ago. 12 used SUVs that make every shiny 2027 model look like burning money. Let's count up. Number 12, Honda CR-V, 2015 to 2019. Let's start with a question nobody at the dealership wants you to ask. Why would you spend $38,000 on a 2027 CR-V when the 2015 to 2019 version does the same job for $12,000? With a better engine, the 4th generation CR-V runs Honda's K242 2.4-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder. No turbo, no direct injection, no carbon buildup. The same engine family that mechanics have documented past 300,000 miles without cracking the block open. The new one? Turbocharged 1.5-liter with documented oil dilution issues in cold climates. You're paying 3 times the price for an engine that's objectively more complicated and arguably less proven. RepairPal puts the CR-V at $407 per year with a reliability score that consistently lands in the top 3 of its segment. Every independent shop in the country has parts on the shelf and procedures memorized. The K24 is the Honda equivalent of a cockroach. Not glamorous, but completely unkillable through any amount of neglect or abuse. You can find clean examples for $10,000 to $16,000. That's a $22,000 gap between used and new. Enough to fund the maintenance on this thing for the next 40 years at RepairPal rates. And here's the part that makes this even crazier. The 4th gen CR-V actually holds value better on the used market than the newer turbo models because mechanics actively steer buyers toward the naturally aspirated version. Show me a 2027 SUV that can do that math. Save $22,000 and get a better engine. The next one saves you even more, and the reliability data will make new SUV buyers physically uncomfortable. Number 11, Toyota RAV4, 2013 to 2018. The 2013 to 2018 Toyota RAV4 is the used SUV that makes the entire concept of buying new feel like a practical joke. IC Cars ranks the RAV4 as the compact SUV with the best resale value in America, 75% retained after 5 years, which means the depreciation curve has already flattened by the time you buy one used. You're not catching a falling knife. You're buying a knife that's already landed and is sitting there waiting to be picked up at half the price. The 2.5-liter 2ARFE 4-cylinder in this generation is naturally aspirated, timing chain-driven, and proven across millions of Camrys, Highlanders, and RAV4s worldwide. It doesn't make exciting power. It doesn't need to. This engine is the stone-cold definition of set it and forget it. Change the oil, rotate the tires, and pretend you don't own a car for the next 5 years. It needs to start every morning, return decent fuel economy, and never surprise you with a repair bill. And it does all 3 with the boring consistency of a paycheck from a government job. A clean 2016 RAV4 with 80,000 miles costs roughly $15,000 to $19,000. A brand new 2027 RAV4 starts at $33,000. Now here's what nobody mentions. That's a $14,000 to $18,000 gap for a vehicle that's mechanically identical in every way that matters, has already proven it works by surviving 80,000 miles without drama, and will still be worth $10,000 when the new one has depreciated past it on the way down. $15,000 for proven reliability versus $33,000 for a promise. The next one carries a Lexus badge, and it costs less to maintain than a Honda Civic. Number 10, Lexus RX 350, 2016 to 2022. The Lexus RX 350 is the best-selling luxury SUV in American history, and buying one used is the automotive equivalent of finding a Rolex at a pawn shop that keeps better time than the new one in the display case. RepairPal puts the annual repair cost at $551, below the industry average for all vehicles combined. Not luxury SUVs, all vehicles. A Lexus luxury SUV that costs less to maintain than most economy cars selling at half its price. But wait, it gets better. The RX also holds its value so stubbornly that a 3-year-old example costs only $15,000 less than new, meaning the depreciation hit you're absorbing is a fraction of what every German competitor loses cruises in the same window. Now tell me again why you need to spend $55,000 on a 2027 model. The 2GR-FE 3.5-liter V6 is one of Toyota's most proven engines, a naturally aspirated, timing chain-driven power plant refined across millions of vehicles over 2 decades. Every independent shop can service it. Every auto parts store stocks the components, and the RX itself drives like a business-class flight. It won't thrill you, won't surprise you, and will deliver you to your destination in supreme comfort every single time without generating a single unscheduled repair ticket. You can find clean 2018 to 2020 examples for $25,000 to $35,000, saving $20,000 over new while getting the same engine, the same reliability, and the same luxury with a few thousand miles already proven on the odometer. A used Lexus for less than a new Toyota. The next SUV was built by Honda, and it carries a 3-row layout with a 500,000-mile engine. Number 9, Acura MDX. 2014 to 2020. The 2014 to 2020 Acura MDX is what happens when Honda builds a luxury 3-row SUV and forgets to add the luxury price tag. And then the used market forgets to add the used premium. CarEdge estimates the MDX's 10-year maintenance cost at approximately $10,748, making it one of the cheapest luxury 3-row SUVs to own long-term. The J-Series 3.5-liter V6 underneath has been refined since 1996 and documented past 500,000 miles on original internals. A new 2027 3-row luxury SUV costs $55,000 to $75,000 and depreciates 50% in 5 years. The used MDX already absorbed that hit and sits at the bottom of its depreciation curve doing absolutely nothing wrong. The super handling all-wheel drive system adds genuine cornering capability without the air suspension, adaptive dampers, or torque vectoring complexity that European rivals charge you $3,000 to repair when they inevitably fail. Every Honda or Acura mechanic can service this thing blindfolded. The MDX is the 3-row SUV equivalent of the kid in school who does perfect work and never gets called on. Always there, always capable, completely invisible to buyers chasing BMW badges and paying BMW repair bills. You can find clean examples for $15,000 to $25,000. Here's what that actually means for your wallet. You can buy the used MDX, invest the $40,000 you saved over buying new, and still have a luxury 3-row SUV that will outlast whatever the dealer was trying to sell you. A used MDX for the price of a down payment on the new SUV, it outperforms in reliability. A 500,000-mile Honda engine in a luxury 3-row for $15,000. The next used SUV drives like a BMW and costs like a Mazda to maintain. Number 8, Mazda CX-5, 2017 to 2024. Every car journalist in America has written the same sentence about the Mazda CX-5 at least once. It drives like something from a higher segment. They're not being generous, they're being accurate. The CX-5 was specifically benchmarked against European compact SUVs during development, and Mazda's engineers delivered driving dynamics that make the BMW X3 feel like it's overcharging you for the privilege of a similar experience. A used CX-5 costs $14,000 to $24,000. A new BMW X3 starts at $50,000. You do the math. The Skyactiv 2.5-liter 4-cylinder is naturally aspirated with a 13-to-1 compression ratio. No turbo, no CVT, just a conventional 6-speed automatic that mechanics describe as the last great traditional gearbox in the compact SUV class. RepairPal gives it strong reliability marks, and the interior quality on mid-tier trims, genuine leather, clean dashboard design, tight panel gaps, rivals vehicles costing $15,000 more. The CX-5 is the used SUV that makes you question every assumption about what cheap maintenance and premium driving are supposed to look like, because it delivers both simultaneously while the new competition asks you to choose. Mazda achieved this not through complexity, but through calibration, which is exactly why the CX-5 feels premium without actually being expensive to fix. And the detail that seals it, a significant number of these were assembled at Mazda's Hofu plant in Japan, identifiable by VYNs starting with Jeobei, a facility with quality standards that rival anything Germany produces at 3 times the cost. BMW dynamics at Mazda maintenance costs. Now we're entering the heavyweights. The next used SUV hasn't been redesigned since 2010, and mechanics still recommend it over anything new. Number 7. Toyota 4Runner, 2010 to 2024. I'm going to tell you something that sounds insane and is completely true. The 2010 to 2024 Toyota 4Runner wasn't meaningfully redesigned for 14 years, and mechanics recommend it over every new SUV on the market specifically because of that. Every component has been proven across 14 model years and millions of real-world miles. Every failure mode has been identified, documented, and resolved. There are no surprises left. The 4Runner is finished being debugged. The 2027 competition is just getting started. The 4.0-liter 1 GR-FE-V6 is naturally aspirated, timing chain-driven, and documented across hundreds of thousands of owner reports as virtually free of major powertrain failure. IC Cars ranks the 4Runner at the absolute top for resale value among midsize SUVs, 74.6% retained after 5 years. That means a 5-year-old 4Runner costs roughly $32,000 to $40,000. Expensive for a used SUV, but that price reflects a market that understands what's underneath. The 4Runner gets terrible gas mileage, the infotainment belongs in a museum, and the ride quality is rougher than any crossover your spouse would prefer. Buy it anyway. Because the mechanic who told you to buy a 4Runner drives one himself, and he's seen what happens to the new stuff after 50,000 miles. Stay with me on this one. The 4Runner is one of the only SUVs where buying used actually feels like an upgrade over new, because you're getting a proven vehicle instead of an unproven promise wrapped in a monthly payment. 14 years of proven engineering. The next used SUV carries a Lexus badge with a Land Cruiser engine for the price of a new Hyundai Tucson. Number 6. Lexus GX460, 2010 to 2023. The Lexus GX460 is the used SUV that makes new car buyers feel genuinely foolish once they discover what's underneath. A Toyota 4.6-liter 1 URF-EV8. Developed with the same engineering philosophy Toyota applies to the Land Cruiser. Nothing on it is allowed to fail because the people who depend on it might not survive the failure. RepairPal puts the annual cost at $770 with a 9% chance of a severe repair. The GX shares its chassis directly with the Toyota Land Cruiser Prado, validated across millions of units in Australian mines, Middle Eastern deserts, and Scandinavian ice. According to Top Speed, citing CarEdge data, luxury SUVs on average lose 60 to 70% of their value in 5 years. The BMW X5 loses roughly 59%, meaning a $68,300 truck becomes worth $28,000 in half a decade. The GX46, it retained 98.5% of its value after 1 year according to depreciation data. That's not a car. That's a savings account with leather seats and a V8. A used 2018 GX46 with 80,000 miles costs $28,000 to $38,000. Less than a new Hyundai Tucson. You're getting a Land Cruiser platform, a Lexus interior, and a V8 rated for 300,000 miles for Tucson money. Now here's the detail that changes everything. The suburban families who own these have no idea their school-run vehicle could survive a deployment to Afghanistan because the same platform serves in military operations on the other side of the planet. The new 2027 models can't touch that value equation with a 10-foot pole. A Land Cruiser in a tuxedo for Tucson money. The next SUV is Korean, and the warranty alone makes new car coverage look embarrassing. Number 5. Genesis G570, 2022 to 2024. Here's the play that nobody at the Genesis dealership wants you to figure out. The 2022 GV70 won North American Utility Vehicle of the Year, beating the BMW X3, the Audi Q5, and the Mercedes GLC. And 3 years later, it's available used for $25,000 to $35,000 because the badge doesn't carry dinner party weight, and early depreciation did exactly what depreciation does to every Korean vehicle, regardless of quality. That depreciation is your advantage, not your risk. The transferable 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty is the detail that makes the GV70 a used market cheat code. A 2022 model with 40,000 miles still carries 60,000 miles of factory powertrain protection, coverage that a comparable BMW X3 lost entirely when its 4-year warranty expired. You're buying a car that beat every German in a head-to-head comparison, with more remaining warranty than any of them offer new, for half the price of the competitors it defeated. Genesis even covers scheduled maintenance for the first 3 years, meaning some early used examples still have complimentary oil changes remaining. The GV70 drives like the car Genesis built to shut up the skeptics. Quick enough to embarrass a Q5, quiet enough to make a GLC feel noisy. And the number that seals this, Genesis offers complimentary valet service for maintenance, meaning a tech comes to your house, picks up the car, services it, and brings it back. Some used examples still carry this benefit. The used market just hasn't figured out what it's sitting on. A comparison test winner with 60,000 miles of warranty for $25,000. The next used SUV has never depreciated in the Middle East, and it's starting to do the same thing in America. Number 4, Toyota FJ Cruiser, 2007 to 2014. The Toyota FJ Cruiser has done something that no financial advisor would ever predict and no economist can fully explain. It has appreciated, not held value, not depreciated slowly, actually gone up in price since it was discontinued in 2014. Clean used FJ Cruisers in the Gulf states routinely sell for more than their original sticker price. And the American market is now following the same trajectory as supply shrinks and demand refuses to fade. The FJ didn't just resist depreciation, it broke the rules of automotive economics entirely. The 4.0-liter 1GR EV6, the same bulletproof engine as the 4Runner and Tacoma, sits in a body-on-frame chassis with a solid rear axle and available locking rear differential. It's a genuine off-road tool disguised as a retro-styled toy, and Toyota killed it in 2014 because they underestimated how badly people would want it once it was gone. Toyota has been paying for that decision ever since, not in lost revenue, but in a rising used market that makes the company's decision to discontinue look worse with every passing year. You can find clean examples for $22,000 to $38,000. And the trend line suggests waiting will cost you more. But here's the kicker. The FJ is one of those rare vehicles where the worse the economy gets, the more valuable it becomes, because buyers flee to proven mechanical simplicity when new car complexity starts failing. Name one 2027 SUV that will be worth more in 2032 than it is today. There isn't one. The FJ already proved it can. The used SUV that actually appreciates. The next one costs $770 per year to maintain, with a 41.7% chance of reaching 200,000 miles. Number 3, Lexus LX 570, 2008 to 2021. The Lexus LX 570 is the most durable luxury SUV ever measured by any reliability study in the world. And buying one used is the single most aggressive middle finger you can give to the concept of buying new. IC Cars gives it an 8.5 out of 10 reliability rating with a 41.7% chance of reaching 200,000 miles, the highest percentage for any luxury large SUV in their database of over 300 million vehicles. Car Complaints has 0 complaints across the 2008 through 2016 model years. 0. 8 years of production without a single owner complaint severe enough to document. The 3UR-FE 5.7-liter V8 went through 800,000 miles of factory testing before Toyota approved it for production. RepairPal estimates the annual cost at $832 with a 9% chance of severe repair. Now compare that to any 2027 luxury SUV, a new Range Rover that earns an F grade for 5-year ownership cost, a new BMW X7 that loses 59% of its value in 5 years, or a new Cadillac Escalade that generates more dealer service revenue in 3 years than the LX 570 generates in a decade. You can find used examples for $35,000 to $70,000, the most durable luxury SUV ever measured for the price of a mid-trim 2027 Highlander. And here's the part nobody tells you. The LX 570 often sells for less than the equivalent Land Cruiser 200 despite being the same vehicle underneath, because the Lexus badge carries less off-road cachet among collectors. Same truck, less money, more luxury. It'll outlast everything new parked next to it. 0 complaints, 8 years, 800,000 miles of testing. The next used SUV is the family expedition truck that every father still hasn't gotten over. Number 2, Toyota Land Cruiser 80 Series, 1990 to 1997. I know what you're thinking. A a truck from the 1990s on a list competing against 2027 models. Stay with me. The Land Cruiser 80 Series is 30 years old, and clean examples cost $25,000 to $60,000, pricing that puts it directly in the range of a brand new midsize SUV. Buyers are choosing a 3-decade-old Toyota over a factory-fresh competitor with their own money in a rational market. That tells you everything about what the 80 Series delivers that nothing new can replicate. The 80 Series was built with full-time four-wheel drive, solid front and rear axles, and factory differential locks on a body-on-frame chassis, so over-engineered that it remains the baseline against which every serious off-road vehicle is still measured. The inline-6 and V8 engines fitted to these trucks have been documented past 500,000 miles in mining operations, humanitarian convoys, and overlanding expeditions across every continent on Earth. No new SUV offers solid axles. No new SUV offers the mechanical simplicity that allows a bush mechanic to fix it with hand tools. And no new SUV carries 30 years of documented proof that it will still be running perfectly long after the 2027 models have been crushed, recycled, and forgotten. This is the detail that changes the whole conversation. Parts for the 80 Series are still manufactured and available globally because Toyota sold millions of these across Africa, the Middle East, and Australia, where they're still used as daily transportation. The parts supply isn't drying up. An entire hemisphere still depends on this truck. The 80 Series didn't just age well, it aged better than everything that came after it. A 30-year-old truck that costs the same as a new SUV and outperforms it in everything that matters. And now, number one, Toyota Land Cruiser 200 Series 2008 to 2021. The Toyota Land Cruiser 200 Series is the used SUV that ends every argument about buying new because it does something no 2027 model can credibly promise. It appreciates. Toyota discontinued the Land Cruiser in the American market after 2021, and the market responded by making used examples worth more every single year since. A clean 2019 Land Cruiser with 60,000 miles costs $65,000 to $85,000. And that number is higher today than it was last year, which was higher than the year before. The Land Cruiser isn't depreciating, it's compounding. The 5.7-liter 3UR-FEV8 went through 800,000 miles of factory durability testing. Icy Cars ranks the Land Cruiser among the top 5 longest-lasting vehicles ever measured across all segments. Every component was built to survive decades of the hardest conditions on Earth. Suburban American use barely registers as exercise for the drivetrain. No 2027 SUV will appreciate. No 2027 SUV carries 30 years of accumulated trust. And no 2027 SUV was built with the understanding that the person driving it might be 3 days from the nearest mechanic, and a breakdown could be genuinely dangerous. The Land Cruiser was. And here's the final number that puts the whole list into perspective. If you had bought a Land Cruiser 200 in 2019 instead of a Range Rover at the same price, the Land Cruiser would be worth more today, while the Range Rover would have lost over $60,000. That's a $100,000 swing in financial outcome from a single buying decision. And that's why it's number one, because buying one used isn't spending money, it's storing it. Buying a Land Cruiser isn't spending money, it's storing it. That's the argument against buying new that no dealership has an answer for. 12 used SUVs, a $407 per year CRV, a Lexus that retained 98.5% of its value in year one, a Toyota that's literally appreciating while new SUVs melt off the lot, and a Land Cruiser that turns your purchase into an investment. The 2027 models look great in the showroom. The used ones look better on a spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet is where money is made or lost. Which used SUV are you buying instead of new? Comments, subscribe. The next list will shock you.